Hello everyone and welcome to the latest in our Short Talks series. Today I'm here chatting to Kate Strong, ethical entrepreneur and global adventurer. And Kate is quite a remarkable person in terms of there's several feats she's looking to undertake over the next couple of years. She's ex-triathlete, world age group champion, has achieved a fantastic amount, runs a consulting business as well, and recently completed quite an impressive summit of speakers that I'll get us to talk to us about briefly later on. But at the moment, Kate, can you just give us a quick summary on your background, please?
Sure. So I come from a country called Wales. For anyone who doesn't know, it's quite a traditional family. I was born with parents and my younger brother, and I didn't really have anything to sort of fight against. It was quite a normal family with great privileges. Yet I always had a burning desire in myself to understand why things were the way they were and also see how the rest of the world lived. So when I was 18, I went to university to study mechanical engineering and took the opportunity to do gap years in different countries such as Italy and Spain, as well as working on summer holidays in Mexico as well and Russia. And after graduating with a double master's, I started traveling the world to really explore the different areas of cultures in developing countries, in countries which languages I didn't speak as well. And I eventually settled in Australia, owned and operated my own hospitality businesses for about 9 years. And during that time, I took up triathlon to give myself a goal within that time of always contributing to my partner and work, where, as you rightly said earlier, I became #1 for my age group in the world. And that's when I realized I had a platform, I had a space to be able to answer those questions of how can we strive for more? How can we remove the glass ceiling of our potential? So I sold my guest house and moved back to Britain, and currently serving others and finding out how they can take their life and their business to the next level as well.
Great. Thanks, Kate. So tell me a little bit about what motivates you.
I think what motivates me is exactly what I just said. It's about finding out where I've capped my own possibility and my potential and find out how I can take it that step further. And some of it is also what I've taken for granted and whether that's serving me or not. So what really motivates me is making sure that I'm living life to the maximum, but I'm also living life fairly. So I believe that every being can thrive. So my joy shouldn't be the discomfort or dissatisfaction of other people and other beings as well. So I'm making sure that I'm always addressing how I can live more, get more from my own life, but also give more back to the communities and the causes that are nearest to my heart.
And that's probably a good point then to talk about, in living to the max. And this is what was impressive in first talking to you, in that you mentioned you're going for a Guinness World Record at the end of this year. If you just quickly give us an overview on that.
Yes, I've attempted it a few years ago and failed. And it's a static bicycle challenge. So it's the furthest distance covered within 24 hours without moving. So yeah, I want to aim towards 800 kilometers. Wow,
that is impressive. And then coming up in the future, we've got Race Across America, toughest cycle ride in the world, harder and further than the Tour de France from what I've seen on the stats. And you're aiming to be the first female finisher on that as the target.
Yep, and it comes back to what we were saying earlier, that I don't know my own potential. So I need to aim to be #1 to find out what my best is as well.
And that's over 3,000 miles on the bike, minimal rest, about 2 hours sleep when you can get it here and there. And then back from that, and then channel swim?
Yeah, within 2 months, I'll be practicing swimming in the ocean and cover that 21 miles from England to France.
And then after that, just up Everest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
So
I'll be slow traveling to Nepal, using base camp there. The base of Nepal as camp for 4 months and practicing again, getting used to altitude, and then attempting to swim Everest.
There was an interesting point you made when we spoke originally about, I guess, having short-term goals pretty much decimated by the current pandemic, and you'd reframed and focused on bigger, longer-term goals. And that's what I found quite impressive when we first spoke, with biggest, hardest bike race in the world, then go back, swim the channel, and then climb Everest. It's fantastic in terms of, and I guess you're going through a huge amount of detail on planning and prep on those now, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. We've recruited an operations manager pretty much to go through every single detail. It'll take about 2 years to plan the whole thing, which is quite fortuitous because I'm not doing it until 2 years' time.
Oh, great. And a question about who your role models are, please. Who would you say are your role models?
Yeah, you asked me this question before, and I always struggle to have an answer for this because I don't really look up to anybody. I don't idolize any person individually. Yet what I endeavor to do is every connection I make to find some element or attribute within that individual to aspire in my own life. So that may be from the clerk in the shop who serves me, to my mother, to somebody I pass in the street, or even that, astronaut I was speaking to just last week. Everyone's got a bit of gold that I can take and mirror in my own life to take myself that bit further and closer towards my own personal goals.
Okay. And I think that's what was impressive when you did your summit last week. There were, how many speakers overall did you get together?
I had 15 slots, 15. But one slot did have 4 people.
Wow. And you'd organised that, not having done a similar thing before, got all those world-class speakers together. I know I managed to watch about half of it through the day. You had astronauts, you had all sorts on. It was really impressive. So that was very good. And could you give us a little bit more information on just, I guess, on the setting that up and what you learned from that process?
I was having these great conversations, similar to what you're doing here with me, with high-achieving individuals. I'm not just talking about the physical high achievers. I'm talking about operationally and also leadership management as well. Because for me to swim, cycle, and hike the elements I'm attempting doesn't just need physical force. I need to make sure my mental resilience is up, that my spiritual development is also expanded, that I can sustain and maintain that level of fitness for a long period of time. So with all these conversations, I thought I was being quite selfish and keeping them behind closed doors with just me on the phone. So I started to invite them if it was okay if we could video it, and even better, host it live so people could engage with these individuals where normally we wouldn't be able to speak to a NASA astronaut or someone who cycled around the world in 79 days, or that, I got the first Black African female who summited Everest on the show as well, to talk about inequalities or this elitism with gender as well as our race and our background. These conversations wouldn't normally be open to the public on that level. So I really wanted to just bring it to as many people as possible to get them excited about what they could summit or climb or do within their own lives as well.
It was a fantastic event. And I think I'm glad I chose to speak with you now, because the whole, I guess, premise for me wanting to talk to you was an insight into a high-performing mindset. And I think I initially spoke to you just as we were a couple of days in the run-in to the event. And then having now seen that go through and seen that, I guess, the caliber of the people you're feeding from and learning from and getting to support you with your events and plans is fantastic. So I guess my final question on developing and, I guess, maintaining a high-performance mindset is, do you have 3 tips for us, please, on that?
Yeah, and I think you're right. Our conversation last week was amazing, but this week is a different level because I've had such great exposure to some amazing individuals in their own right as well. So 2 of the 3 points I said last week are still very valid, but the third I've also had I'm going to twist it a little bit. The first thing I saw in myself whenever I achieved, but also what was lacking when I wasn't, when I was in a little funk in my life, was gratitude. And I also saw this reflected in every single person I spoke with, being grateful for what we have, being grateful for the opportunities, for simple things as a roof over our head. That attitude of gratitude really, really shone through in those high achievers. The second thing is acknowledgement. A lot of us look outside of ourselves, like grateful is for things outside of us. Acknowledgement is time to look in us and actually pat ourselves on the back as well. So again, it could be as small as we got out of bed today, or as large as I've just summited Everest and achieved wildest dreams. So everyone acknowledge what they did without ego. It was, I've done this, this is who I am. No excuses, no hiding away as well. So it was beautiful to see people being proud in that pure sense. Yeah. And the third thing I was going to say, add an element of curiosity, because I love bringing childish thought processes and not taking for granted towards, but I think I'm going to change it. It was that can-do attitude. A problem is only a problem if we call it so. Every single person I spoke to had a reason to stop, to give up, to call what they're stopping was a failure and really blame it or justifiably stop as well. One guy lost his eyesight and was kicked off the football team before the Olympics. Did he stop? No, he found another way to compete in judo in the Olympics. His can-do attitude shone through, so he competed in the Olympics. And so it's about finding, what else could I be doing? If this path is burnt, what other path could I be walking on to still get where I want to go? So those are my 3 top tips.
Yeah, it was a fantastic story in the last one, because that would have broken most people, I think, going through that. But to just say, right, I'm going to change course, I'm going over here now, and I'm doing it at a world-class level, was fantastic. And I like your attitude of gratitude. That's quite cool. I might borrow that. No, fantastic, Kate. You're really good. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last week or two. Really inspirational to chat to you. Thank you very much for those points. Best of luck with the world record and the race across America and the Channel Swim and the Everest climb. I shall be following them all closely.
Thank you. And if I do all 3, I'll be the first ever female in the world to do that. So that's quite an accomplishment and something to drive me as well.
I'm sure you will. Best of luck with that. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you.